Hi, my name is Ashley Rockwell, and I'm the head of customer success here at Hurdlr. Really excited to walk you through the app today. So I'm going to get started with giving a little bit of background on Hurdlr and the findings we found in the real estate industry. And then I will walk you through the setup of Hurdlr. And then finally, I will show you some of the more advanced features and how to really get the most out of Hurdlr. So let me go ahead and share my screen. So Hurdlr is an app to help put agents' accounting on autopilot. And what we found is that 90% of agents are commingling their finances. So they're using the same bank account to track both their business and personal expenses and income. So this really makes it difficult to know what their true profit is. And then additionally, we found that agents have over $10,000 in business tax deductions each year. So about $4,600 in business expenses, plus the business mileage tax deduction, which many of them don't even claim. So I invite each of you to think about how you manage your own finances. How are you tracking all of your commissions from your listings and buyers? How are you tracking and making sure that you're capturing all of your expenses and deductible expenses? How are you tracking your mileage when you're driving to meet prospective clients or to do house showings? And how are you tracking all of your taxes and your tax payments? And finally, if you have a rental property or side gig or additional business, how are you tracking all the finances for that? So the great news is that Hurdlr tracks all of this in one place. So it's a streamlined tool to help you see all of this in real time. And because of that, we like to think of Hurdlr as a Fitbit for agents' financial goals, because all of this is being shown to you in real time and you can see where you're at. So the top 3 benefits for agents are that Hurdlr helps save you time and money. On average, agents are saving $5,600 in 18 hours per year on their taxes. The agents are always up to date with their real-time financials with Hurdlr, so they know exactly how much they're making and how much they've spent. And then finally, Hurdlr helps improve your financial insights. So you're able to see exactly where your business is and what your profitability is like. So that can help you adjust things and help make sure that you're able to be more profitable. So just a couple of things to get started. The first is to automate your finances. So with Hurdlr, linking your bank or credit card will help immediately start tracking all of your finances and estimating everything in real time for you. So this is going to help save you so much time and money because all of your deductions are captured and everything is happening in real time, so you know exactly where you're at. And the second thing is that Hurdlr can help you maximize your profitability so that you can actually track your profit at the listing and buyer level. So you're able to see your true profit per client. And when you're running a more profitable business, you'll be able to stay in business longer. So this can really help you improve everything there. Hurdlr's been around for over 6 years, but in the past 3 years alone, we've helped our users track over $8 billion in finances and save them over $300 million on their taxes. We've also won several awards and recognitions in the real estate industry. So let me go ahead and switch my screen over to the web app. So just a little bit of background. There is both a web app and a mobile app, and it does sync across all the platforms. So you're able to use the web app on your iPad or your laptop or your computer, and then the mobile app can be used on your phone, and you are able to use them interchangeably, and all of your data will be synced automatically. So when you first access Hurdlr through the CRMLS marketplace, it's going to offer you a 7-day trial, and you're also going to be able to get 40% off your first year, which is a special benefit exclusively through CRMLS. So when you're downloading Hurdlr, you'll want to make sure that you go through the CRMLS marketplace to ensure that you get that 40% off. If you sign up for Hurdlr on your own, you won't get this discount, and it'll be the full price of $60 a year. So please make sure that you're definitely going through the marketplace there to get that discounted price. So you have the option of a 7-day trial when you sign up, and this would give you that 40% off once the trial ends. I'm going to go ahead and skip that for now. All right. Here we go. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the setup. So all of your action items to get started are listed up here. It's going to be really similar in the mobile app as well. Just in the mobile app, there's little cards along the top that kind of walk you through all the different set of actions. So it's kind of really intuitive to go through everything. I'm going to cover a lot of information during this tutorial, and since it's recorded, there isn't a Q&A at the end. So if you do have questions, we do have an app chat feature. So in the web app here, there's this little question mark icon, and you can click on that to send our team questions. I'll also highlight it in the mobile app, but in the mobile app, there is a little chat icon in the top left-hand corner. So clicking on either of those will send a message directly to our team, and we offer live support from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday. Any messages we get outside of those times, we reply to as soon as we return to the office. But we do have that live support during those hours. So that's a great feature to utilize. Our team is always happy to help answer any questions you have or any issues you run into. So definitely utilize that feature. So to get started, there's just a couple of quick tasks. So the first is to set up our tax calculations. So this will just walk us through a couple of questions to get started. So the first is what state we live in. And the next is our state filing status. And our federal filing status. And then I'll ask you if you have a full-time job. So if you have a W-2 job where your taxes are taken out automatically, you could say yes. Or if you're married and filing jointly and your spouse has a job like that, you could say yes. If you do that, it's going to ask you the salary, and this is just to help estimate your tax bracket more accurately, which will give you better self-employed tax estimates. So if you do have the type of income, you would want to say yes. If you're strictly self-employed, then you would just say no. So we'll say no in this case. And this is just a disclaimer letting you know that these are just estimates, but our users do find them to be pretty accurate. So got it. The next thing here is our automated reports. So we do recommend turning this on. With this option, at the beginning of each month, we'll automatically send you a report of all of your data from the app. So this just makes it really easy to get that report. You don't have to go in and do anything. It'll just send it to you automatically, so you can see exactly where you're at. The next action here is to set up your income and expense tracking. So with Hurdlr, you have the option to link your bank account or credit card, and this will automatically track all of your transactions. So we do recommend doing that. This just helps ensure that you're capturing all of those deductions and that you're not leaving anything on the table. So I can show you that process quickly too. So if I click Pick Now, you can manually add transactions as well. We also have a CSV Import feature to import your bank statement. But again, we do recommend linking your bank account if it is a supported bank. So I'd click Link Account. And we do support nearly 10,000 banks and credit cards and credit unions. So, it's very likely that your bank will be listed here. If you are looking and you don't see it, please reach out to our team via that in-app chat so we can double check and see if it is supported or not. And if it's not currently supported, we can walk you through some of these different tracking options that are currently available and put in a request to our linking team to see if your bank could be added in the future. So definitely utilize that in-app chat. So some of the biggest banks are listed here. And there's also a search banks feature. So if your bank isn't one of the largest banks here, you can also click search banks and then search for the full list of banks for your bank. So I'm going to show you how to link the bank. So in this case, I have a Chase account I'm going to link. So I would just enter in my credentials. And it is very secure to link your bank account. What you're doing is you're actually logging directly into your bank. So your credentials are not seen or stored by Hurdlr. We also don't get any of your bank account details. You're strictly logging directly into your bank, and then your bank is giving Hurdlr read-only access to your transactions that can only be read by Hurdlr servers. So this is the most secure way to link your bank, and everything will kind of pull in pretty quickly for you as well. So I'm going to go ahead and link my accounts, and it might take a few minutes, but when I do so, it's going to then start pulling all those transactions in automatically. Now, the last thing to do as far as setup on the web app is to get started on the mobile app as well. So you'll see here there's the option to text yourself a link. So you can either text yourself the link to the mobile app, or you can just log directly into the app by downloading from the App Store. If you are downloading from the App Store, just make sure that you first went through and set up your account through the CRMLS dashboard. That way you're going to get that discounted premium rate that I mentioned. So now I'm going to go ahead and switch gears and log into a different account that has some more data so we can take a look at that in a little more detail. All right. Okay, so this is the mobile app. Across the top, you'll see the different action items. So that's where, if you're doing your setup on the mobile app, that's where you would see the different setup cards. So it's going to show us now that we already have everything set up, if I have things to review or to tag. So that's all listed here. Now, this is the home dash. So you'll see that there's a high-level overview of the income, expenses, and taxes that I've tracked to date. And then I think the really cool number to call out here is this white number, the profit after tax. So this is exactly how much you have in your pocket at the end of the day. So once you account for your expenses and taxes, this is how much profit you're actually keeping. So I think that's pretty cool because a lot of people who are self-employed don't necessarily know how much they're actually keeping at the end of the day. Now, along the bottom are the different sections. So the first is the mileage. So by tapping on that, it's going to show me an overview of the mileage section. So there's a few different options for tracking mileage. The first is automatic, which is what we recommend. So you'll see at the top here, it says auto tracking is on. So when I have that turned on, it's going to track all of my trips when I start driving. And once I stop, they'll pull in here for me to tag. And all I would do is swipe to tag it as business or swipe the other way to tag it as personal. So it's really, really easy. We do recommend this method because then all of your drives are automatically tracked and you're not going to miss any. If you prefer to only track certain drives, then we'd recommend the semi-automatic tracker. So with this, you would turn the auto tracker off, and then there'll be a little arrow icon in the bottom right corner. So if I tap on that, then I can start and stop the tracker. So I would need to manually start it and manually stop it when I want the drive to start and stop tracking, but it's going to automatically calculate the distance I drove, what my starting and ending location was, and a few other details about the drive. So that's useful if you want to track your mileage that way. And then the final option here is the ability to manually enter mileage. So there's a little plus sign in the top right corner. If I tap on that, I can manually enter mileage and enter all the mileage details. So this is great if you're, previously tracking your mileage using another app or using a spreadsheet or something. This way you can kind of get caught up by entering all that mileage in. Now, there are a couple of advanced options with mileage tracking as well. For Android users, there's the ability to track via Bluetooth. So like I said, typically the default option for tracking mileage is just when your phone detects your motion and your speed that you're driving, it's going to start tracking your drives. But for Android devices in particular, we have the option of Bluetooth. So with this, you can set your phone to start tracking when connected to a selected Bluetooth device like your car stereo. So, as soon as your phone connects to that, it would start tracking a new trip and then stop tracking once you disconnect from it. And then for iPhone users, we have the ability to turn the auto tracking on and off using Siri. So you can always set that up if you want to turn it on and off. Now, the next section here along the bottom is the expenses section. So like we saw when I did a setup, I've linked my credit card here and all of my credit card transactions are pulling in automatically. And I just go in and swipe to tag them as either business or personal, just like we did on the mileage tab. So again, really easy and just keeps track of everything at the top. With expenses, you do have the option of entering your receipts as well. So there's this little attach receipt button. If I click on that, I can either take a photo of my receipt or choose an existing photo. And then if my bank account isn't supported or I don't want to link it, or if I have cash expenses, I can also manually enter expenses. So I would just tap this plus sign in the top right-hand corner, and then it's going to let me enter all of the expense details. And again, I always have that option to attach a receipt if I need to. Now, the next section here along the bottom is the income section. So I've already tracked and tagged all of my income, but if I had anything pending, it would be showing up here for me to tag. And again, you can just swipe to tag it as either business or personal. And just like with expenses, I do have the option to also manually enter expenses if I need to. Now, the next section here along the bottom is a taxes section. So this is one of the most useful sections because, again, when you're self-employed, your taxes aren't taken out. So you need to be tracking and paying those on your own. So Hurdlr estimates your federal, state, and self-employed taxes. And it's doing all of that in real time as you're tagging income and expenses. So I think this little details button here is really cool because it actually shows you exactly how your expenses and your mileage are impacting your taxes and working to lower them. And it does show you the detailed calculations for your federal, state, and self-employed taxes as well. So that's pretty cool. And then for those of you who make quarterly payments, there's this little quarterlies button at the top, and that will show you the breakdown of your quarterly taxes. So you can see exactly how much you should be paying for your quarters as well. So that helps you with those quarterly tax payments. And then on top of that, you can even track the payments themselves. So you see this little payments button down here on the bottom. If you tap that, you can enter in your tax payments that you make throughout the year. And that's going to show in your calculations where it says paid in the annual overview. It's going to show you how much you've already paid towards your taxes and how much you still owe towards your taxes. So I think that's pretty cool. And the last thing to kind of highlight before we jump into some of the more advanced features is our reporting section. So if I tap the three dots in the top left-hand corner to open my settings menu, there's this report section. And this is going to list all the different reports that we have available. So there's some of the most popular reports at the top. And then we also have a ton of different mileage reports and expense reports and income reports. And then finally, these tax reports, I think, are probably the most useful. So this is for helping you with filing your taxes at the end of the year. So there's a Schedule C report, and then there's also a tax details report. So the tax details report is going to have all of the data that you tracked in Hurdlr, and it's going to be pre-formatted for the Schedule C already. So that's really a really helpful report. If you have an accountant or a CPA, you can send it directly to them. Or if you file your taxes on your own, it's going to help you with all the data that you need to file your taxes. And then before I move on to some of the more advanced features, I did want to highlight that chat bubble that I mentioned when we looked at the web app. So there's a little chat bubble here, and that's going to take you into the chat section of the app so that you can message our team with any questions that you have. Okay. Sorry about that. Looks like the screen share did not like the chat section. So that's kind of the basics of the app. Now there are some more detailed features that you can use as well. So I wanted to walk you through those. Some of these are automation focused. Some of these are just more details to track your transactions and your trips. So the first thing I want to take a look at is our listing section. So if I tap the settings button in the top left corner and select listings and buyers, this is going to list all of my listings and buyers that I'm tracking in the app. And when I go in and type something as business, it's going to ask me which listing or buyer it's associated with, and then keep track of those things within the listing itself. So when I set up a listing, it's going to ask me for the listing price and my commission percentage, and then it's going to be estimating my commission, and then also tracking the expenses and the mileage that I've tracked against that listing as well. So I'll be able to kind of see the P&L at that listing level, which is pretty cool. A lot of our users really like that. Additionally, if you use Lone Wolf Transaction Desk or ZipForm Plus, they can actually be linked in Hurdlr as well. And if you link that, it's going to pull those listings in automatically, which is pretty cool. And again, just to kind of see what that looks like when I'm tagging things. So if I'm going in and tagging this as a business expense, it's going to pop up and ask me which listing or buyer it's associated with, and I'll be able to tag it to that particular listing or buyer. So that's a really cool feature. Again, just lets you have that profit and loss at the listing level. The next feature I want to look at is our time and tasks feature. So again, I just click the settings menu and select time and tasks. And this is a great way to keep track of the time you're spending on certain things for your different listings and buyers. So if you want to track your house visits and your staging and your listing services, and just keep track of how long you're spending on each of those things for each of your clients, this can be super helpful. So there's two main ways to track your time. The first is to manually enter the time. So just click the plus sign in the top right corner, And then you just enter in the details of the duration and what task it is and what listing or buyer it is. And then the other option is to use the apps tracker. So there's a little tracker button down here, and you would just enter the details about which listing or buyer it is and what your task is, and then start the tracker. Just go ahead and do that task. And once you're done, you can stop it, and it's going to have that listed here for you in the main section. And like you might have seen in the listing section, it does also show that there. So it's kind of cool to see the high level overview of the totals that you've done for each of your listings. Now, as far as automation, we really like to help you automate things as much as possible. It's definitely more useful for you to be spending time on your business versus spending time going through and tagging your finances and tracking your taxes. So we want to help alleviate the time you're spending on that as much as possible. So the way we do that is the automation. So Hurdlr learns your tagging behaviors as you're tagging things and then suggests rules for it. So you'll see at the top here, 6 suggested rules. So if I tap on that, it's going to list out some of the rules that it's suggesting based on what I've been tagging everything to. So for instance, this one at the top is my vet. So it's saying that is a personal expense because I've tagged several expenses from my vet as personal. So if I approve that, then moving forward, every time a new transaction from my vet pulls in, it's going to automatically tag it as personal for me. So I can hit yes, and then my rule's created, and I don't have to worry about tagging any of that anymore. It's just going to take care of it automatically. So there are rules on both the income and expenses side. And again, these are just ones that are being suggested based on what I'm tracking. I can also proactively set up rules. So when I'm swiping, there's a little create a rule function that comes up. And I can also use that to create my own custom rules if I want to set rules up ahead of time. So all of that just helps you automate everything so much more. So you're not spending time going through each and every thing. The next thing you can do as far as speeding things up is our speed tagging. So this little orange icon in the bottom right corner is a speed tagging button. And with this, you can multi-select or select all to tag your transactions in bulk. So I would just select the different expenses I want to tag and then select either business or personal to tag them. And then we also have these options for the mileage tracker as well. So if I go to the mileage tracker, you'll see the suggested rule. So as I'm going to the same clients or the same locations, it's going to see that I'm tagging them a certain way and suggest rules for it moving forward. So doing that, anytime I take that particular drive, it's going to tag it automatically for me, which again, just saves so much time, especially when you're driving a lot. In addition to that, we also have the speed tagging option for mileage. It's also for income as well. So again, that just kind of helps you get caught up, especially I feel like a lot of our users tend to just have time set aside each week to go through and update their data. So if you're not going through and tagging things right away, it's a good way to kind of get caught up quickly. Another cool feature with mileage is that if you tap on the trip itself, we actually have a route map. So this again can be really helpful if you're doing a lot of drives and you're not necessarily tagging them right away. This way you can kind of see exactly what that drive was and then tag it appropriately. So again, I think that's a pretty cool feature. There's also other customization that you can do within the app itself. So there's a ton of different business expense categories. You might see that as I'm tagging an expense. There's this category section. A lot of them are suggested automatically, just kind of based on our aggregated data. But there are tons of different transactions categories that you can choose from. In addition to the ones you can choose from, you can also add your own. So if I tap the gear icon here, I can click on business categories and click the plus sign to add my own custom business categories. So I just enter in the category name, the header I want it to fall under, and the expense account that I want it to link to as far as the tax category. So that kind of helps you customize things a little bit more. And then the other cool thing, I had mentioned it earlier, but the ability to track multiple businesses. So if you have your real estate business and then also have another business or a rental property or a side gig, you can also add that as well to track all of your data in one place. So just go to the settings menu and then select businesses and then click the plus sign and you're able to add your other businesses. And when you have your other business added, say I'm also an Uber driver, and when I go in and tag something as business, it's going to ask me which business it's associated with. And this way I'm able to keep my transactions and mileage and income all separate per business, and then export reports per business as well. But again, it's all in the same app, which makes it so much easier to use, and it's all streamlined. So that's kind of the overview of some of the more advanced features as well. I think as much as you can automate, the better you're going to be. The more automation that you have, the more time you can save. And Hurdlr really tries to help you with that as much as possible so that you can focus on being as profitable as possible. The last thing I want to highlight before we go is just the in-app chat feature again. Again, this is super easy way to get answers to your questions or get help with any issues that you run into. Just send a message into our team and they're able to usually respond in just a couple of minutes. So it's a great way to make sure that you're able to get answers to your questions or able to resolve your issues quickly rather than trying to figure everything out on your own. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'm really excited to talk to you soon in Hurdlr. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.